I like, you know, in general, the Moviedrome films that I like most were the ones that seem to kind of plant a bomb under the film itself, where the film seems to splinter or fall apart or something. So definitely Walkabout and films like that, I thought, were the ones that broke the bounds of classical filmmaking, which, you know, I found so boring in some ways. You know, Moviedrome had to be about form as well as content. I think we wouldn't have been presumptuous enough to think that we could change the critical reputation of a film, but we could do something much simpler, which say, we don't give a fuck what the previous generation thought about it. Here's why it moved us so much. I remember, I maybe even said this when I talked about the film, I remember seeing Bad Timing before I'd ever fallen in love. And I thought, God, if this is love, I'm already terrified, you know? And, you know, it was clearly, to me and my generation, a masterpiece. I didn't see it when it first came out, but it was so clearly a masterpiece. We really didn't care what the fuddy-duddies before us thought of it. And often when a film arrives at that time, in that context, when generally film criticism was quite conservative, then of course it's going to perhaps be underestimated or undervalued. But Bad Timing is one of those films that is about the sublime plus the valley of tears, but about life and death. And, you know, it had to be valued at the highest possible level. I think that right from the start, I remember when they asked me to do it and I did my little jump for joy or whatever it was of excitement, I remember saying to them, can we, this is the wrong phrase, girl it up again, I bet is the wrong phrase, but make it, become interested in the radical feminine as well as the radical masculine. You know, so that's why Douglas Sirk films were in there, and the melodramas, the extremes of emotion as well as the extremes of violence. We were, Moviedrome in general was interested in sort of the wild unconscious, and often it was violence, and it was often men doing terrible things to other men, you know. But to put on a signature film for me was something like Johnny Guitar, which is about women, and about violent women and fascist women almost, you know. And to get into that was really important, you know. And I thought that Moviedrome had been too gendered perhaps previously. I loved it, as I say. It took me into types of cinema I hadn't seen, but I thought, let's drag it across the sexual spectrum in some way into a different kind of Wild West. Also, there was this thing that Moviedrome, as you know, was based on what a lot of the films that the BBC actually owned. And maybe the first bunch of years with Alex Cox, maybe it mined and showed the best of the big male melodramas. So maybe what was like when I went through the list of films available, and there were thousands of them, it was some of the female ones that was jumping out at me more.
So you actively wanted to change the gender?
There was a distinct thing. I mean, there's still loads of boys films in there,
of course,
and I love
there
that
is
stuff. Loads and loads and loads of them. But there was a definite flavour, I would say.